I'm Annie Spiegelman, author of Talking Dirt. Today I'm going to teach you how to make your own worm bin. Worm bins are great for apartment dwellers or if you have a small yard and you don't have room for a big compost pile or compost bin. I have 3 compost bins in my yard because I'm obsessed a little bit, some would say, with composting. It's great fertilizer, it's free, what's not to love about it? Okay, the other great thing about composting is it's good for the environment. It's going to help our planet. Right now we're taking all this organic material, our cuttings, our grass clippings, leaves, our leftover lunch, and we're packing it in plastic and sending it to the landfill. That's crazy. We should be composting all of this. So let's get started. We want that. We want free fertilizer and less landfill. Here's how it's done. And here's exactly what you'll need. Okay, you're gonna need some paper, lots of newspaper, and you'll cut it up in strips, which I'll show you when we get started. You'll need a spray bottle, or if you're outdoors, you can use a hose. You'll need a drill with a 1/4 inch bit on it, safety goggles, some soil from your yard, just a little bit. This is a pound of worms, little red wigglers, which I'll show you later, and lots of food scraps. Okay, now we're going to start. So we're going to use a container like this today, but you can also use an old drawer or a wood box, or you can also buy a worm bin already. Some really nice ones at the garden center. They range from $50 to $100, but this costs $5. So we're going to use this one today, and it's real easy for starters. It's a great way to go, and for kids too. So put on my safety glasses, and the first thing we're going to do is make holes along the side here about 1 inch to 1 inch apart so the worms can breathe. Okay, and you're going to go all the way around the box, all the sides. And if you're going to keep your worm box outside, I would even make a hole on the bottom, just 1 or 2 on the bottom. And you would also want to make, so you've made them all the way around, and then you're going to make 20 to 30 holes along the top too, so your worms have lots of air. So we're going to start with our newspaper. Now, you can also use, if you have a paper shredder, you can use your IRS documents. That's always a good thing. Or you can use newspaper. This is the Pacific Sun newspaper I write for. This is a very old one, so it's okay for me to rip it up. So I'm going to rip it into strips like this.
Don't forget about the colored newspaper.
Okay, and preferably, you don't want to use too much color paper. It's okay if there's a little bit of color in the newspaper, but it's best to use black and white. But most newspapers now are all soy basting, so they're safer, but definitely don't use magazine paper. Okay, so you're gonna fill your whole container up with newspaper, and if you have straw handy, you can also use straw as a good bedding material also. Then you'll spray bottle it, moisten it, or you can use a garden hose if you want. That'll go a little quicker. And you want it as moist as like a nice wet, wrung out but a wet sponge. Okay, so you moist your newspaper. Then you're going to add any other organic materials you have laying around in your backyard. You can put a tiny bit of sticks in there. Definitely some grass clippings and some leaves they would love. Okay. Then you're going to add some garden soil. Okay, and you'll mix that around. And that helps start the bacteria and fungi in here, helps the decomposition process. Some more advanced gardeners will use worms from outside, but those worms like to dig deep down, and they don't love sitting in a little dark box. They're the outdoorsy worms. So you want to get red wigglers. And what's great about these little worms too is they multiply really quickly. They have a ton of babies. So if you have 10 worms, and there's probably 1,000 in here, maybe even more, but if you have 10 worms in a year, that'll be up to 1,500 worms. and they're going to eat all your garbage. And if you really get into this whole worm bin thing, you can even make these for friends and give them worms, which us master gardeners, we love doing that. We're weird. They're little babies right now, but they're going to get bigger than this. They're kind of sweet.
Lower down.
And I just want to say, if you're nervous about worms, I was too. I mean, I grew up in an apartment building in New York, so I don't know how this happened, but you hardly see the worms. They're going to be underneath. They're going to be eating all the food, making compost for you. Their castings, what they excrete is the castings, and that's all fertilizer, full of nitrogen. Great for your plants. Okay, so you got the worms in, you got all the bedding in. Now you're going to feed them. You can even put paper towels in here. We do that. Some tea. What else do I have here? Okay, then there's some banana. Put in your kid's lunch. You know he's not eating it. He's like buying some other garbage at the cafeteria. You mix it up a little bit. Okay. So look at this. So you hardly see the worms. You don't even know they're there. Okay. And then you cover up your box. Ta-da! And you're done. Pretty easy, right? So, what else you'll have to do is you'll want to put it either in a garage, your box, or some people store it under their kitchen sink, or if you have a laundry room, if you're in an apartment. Just don't put it anywhere that's way too hot or in harsh sunlight. You can also put it on a deck. Just make sure there's a little bit of shade. And the best thing to do is not to feed them all the time, because you don't want to spoil them. Make them like your dogs and cats that always want food. You want to wait about a week. So feed them a good chunk at the beginning and then check on them in a week and see if the food's gone. Hopefully some of it will be, a lot of it should be. And then you'll refeed them again. So what I do is I keep a little container under the kitchen sink with tea bags, coffee filters, and some food scraps. And then just feed them once a week. I think that's it. So good luck. Ciao.